Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Over the weekend, Cenovus Energy made the deal to purchase Husky Energy. The deal is at $3.8 billion and could trigger more mergers similar to this in the oil and gas sector. Mayor Albers spoke on the buyout and what this could mean for many oil companies down the road.
The industry has been going through some change for the last couple of years. We've seen that locally with businesses leaving, but at the same time, we're now going to see businesses start to grow in size, and mergers, acquisitions, those kind of things will continue.
Albers says Cenovus has huge holdings in the area up north in Bonnyville and Lac La Biche areas, but believes with the refinery and the upgrader in the city can still be profitable while maintaining jobs in both those places.
I think it's very important to see what comes out of it, but I think we are well positioned. There's always the chance that we could see some management positions or as they coordinate things, but when it comes to production and operating facilities, I think we stand in a very good spot.
The city is marking $63,000 in funding to Border City Connects for vehicle storage. Eric Bay reports.
The money will be split over 5 years to cover the $12,600 annual cost of storage. Vehicles were stored at the Emergency Services Building until it was decommissioned in 2015, and space is now leased from a third party.
It's just a change of the format. Instead of the city carrying the lease, now Border City Connects will carry the lease for their storage of the vehicle location. It just had to come to City Council because simply part of the transparency and part of making sure that people understand who's paying for what.
A grant from the government of Saskatchewan comes to the city, with the amount of funding varied depending on how many trips Border City Connects takes in a year.
That money is received and in turn handed over to the Border City Connects to help fund their operation, or a portion, because it does not completely fund their operation. It helps, but there's always a funding shortfall for the handy van, as it's known as.
Border City Connects has been operating in the city since 1980, and it's a partnership the mayor would like to see continue.
I didn't realize 40 years. I learned again today something that Border City Connects have changed over time, but 40 years of serving our community. So it's an opportunity to help those that need a little help from the community, and it's an ongoing process.
The vans take 17,000 trips a year, shuttling people around the city and to out-of-town medical appointments. Eric Bay, Primetime Local News.
Since the Saskatchewan government gave an investment of $10 million towards Holy Rosary High School for expansion, the staff has been looking for input from students for ideas. Students are discussing ideas on the new design for the expansion. The staff are heading to all 4 LCSD elementary schools this week to hear the students' opinions, since they'll be attending Holy Rosary in the future when the expansion is ready.
We're just hoping to get some feedback on what they're excited about coming to school and what we're excited for the programs that we can offer them. Just finding out where their passion areas are, and so that we can make sure that our building is reflecting that, and so we have a lot of student buy-in in the future.
The administrators are looking to take that programming and make sure that in 2030 the building is still relevant. Having the students' voices being heard is their biggest priority.
So it's been a real eye-opener to everything that goes into school and goes into a school building, right? So, and having Mr. Orio and myself as the two that will know everything about the expansion, so we can speak to it and we can help all the students with it as well.
The expansion at Holy Rosary High School is planning to be ready by 2022 and be able to accommodate up to 1,200 students instead of 750. Students at one local school are learning the benefits of growing their own plants, and in this week's Beyond the Classroom, we take a look at how they use a tower garden to grow them in school. At Father Gorman School, this class has the tower garden in the back of their classroom, where they get to look over their plants daily.
The students are really enjoying being able to come into the classroom and observe their learning. Every single day they come in and their plants are looking different and growing at a substantial rate. The tower garden, the way it works is by using UV lights to grow the plants at what the tower garden is statistically proven to grow things 30% faster, because it's like an optimal environment. So we add nutrients and minerals to make the water ideal for growing.
The students are also learning other skills that aren't always taught in science class.
Patience, lots of patience, and it also is different because Like it grows, sometimes plants, if you plant them, they won't grow. Sometimes they will grow faster, sometimes slower. It all depends, really.
LCSC wants students to learn in more of a hands-on way and utilize their 5 senses in class compared to regular worksheets.
The Tower Garden ties into our science curriculum, how this year we're growing lots of different types of plants. We actually have 15 different species of local plants, such as corn and pumpkins, but we're also growing different types of plants like honeydew melons and cantaloupes, so the students are able to see what we can grow locally in our own environment. And then we talk a lot about how we can conserve nature.
The students get to take home what they grow in class, but some students aren't quite sure what they're going to do with their plants yet.
I'm growing aquatic grass. I didn't know I was growing it at first because I got a mix of plants. At first I thought it was just grass, but then I looked it up and it was aquatic grass, so I hope it turns out well, but I don't know what I'm going to use it for.
The students also get to water and give nutrients to the plants.
You have goals, and Lakeland College can help you achieve them. Visit lakelandcollege.ca or email hello@lakelandcollege.ca.
Now our Connor Chan will take a look at your weather forecast.
Thanks a lot, Jasmine. Looking at temperatures right now, sitting at 1 degree right now. We did have some sun throughout the day. We woke up to some fairly slick roads and sidewalks this morning. Of course, it was fairly icy for many of us who had to drive out there as well as on the sidewalks. But of course, it melted throughout the day as it got a little bit warmer. But right now, currently, we're sitting at 1 degree right now as the current high right now here in Lloydminster. Take a look out west. It's a little bit warmer in Vermilion and Vegreville, sitting at 4 and 5 degrees. 2 up in Marwayne, Pearslin, and Bonnyville as well. 8 degrees out in Edmonton, as we see also 6 degrees in both Provost and Macklin, with 0 in North Battleford, and then 3 degrees in Maidstone, and cooler temperatures up north in Meadow Lake, Green Lake, and Isle of Cross, sitting at -1. So here's a look at the satellite radar map. Not a whole lot of activity compared to what we saw yesterday. Of course, we did see some of those showers and snow mix overnight. That's why we kind of got that ice and slick conditions this morning, as it kind of chilled overnight with that wind chill a little bit. But we are there is a chance, we could see some of those flurries a little bit overnight tonight in the later parts of the evening. In the overnight, around that 30% chance we could see that happening. But as we take a look at the school day forecast for tomorrow, -1 at 8 a.m. with 0 degrees around recess time, with some showers as a possibility. 1 degree around lunchtime, and then by the time school is out around that 3:30 range, it will be a daytime high there of 2 degrees. So here's what we could see overnight in North Battleford. -5 overnight with some little bit of slick conditions in North Battleford for tomorrow with that high of 4 degrees. Take a look at Cold Lake, -3 overnight with possibility of some snow for tomorrow with that daytime high of 4 degrees. Then for us here in Lloydminster, I did mention the possibility. There's a 30% chance we could see some flurries overnight tonight, but it's mostly rain that we could see possibly tomorrow with that high of 3 degrees. So here's a look at what we could see for the next couple of days here. We also could see some rain on Friday as well with that high of 2 degrees, and 1 on Saturday as we get a little bit, kind of get back to some cooler temperatures there, but it's still going to be sun and positive temperatures and some low minuses there for the morning. But that is a look at your weather for now. We'll have more primetime local news coming up after the break.
The LA Dodgers are the new world champions after being able to clinch Game 6 of the World Series. Evan Kenny and Eric Bay break down the series.
Well, the world of baseball and the MLB now have a new winner, a new leader. That is the LA Dodgers for the first time since 1988. Joining me today to break all this down is Eric Bay. Eric, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, obviously a pretty exciting World Series overall, and quite the finish there in Game 6.
Yeah, 3-1 in Game 6 there. And I guess first things first, Eric, why don't you just break down mainly the end of that game for us?
Yeah, I mean, obviously what people are pointing to is taking out Blake Snell there pretty early after giving up that hit after going 5 1/3 innings. And to me, it's pretty indefensible. Kevin Cash, again, obviously has always gone with the analytics, and the analytics do say once you go through an order 3 times, your performance as a pitcher goes downhill. But I think at that point, you have to look at that as a game-by-game basis, especially in the playoffs. And Blake Snell was on fire facing the top 3 hitters in the Los Angeles Dodgers order. Those top 3 were 0 for 6 with 6 strikeouts in that game alone. So I think Blake Snell was really cruising, and I think there was a pretty big sigh of relief from the Dodgers side of view at that point. So again, I really think this played into the Dodgers' hands for sure. And again, you can look this either way, because if it works, hey, great. If it doesn't, obviously he's going to be a bit of a scapegoat. But for me, I think, again, it's just inexcusable.
Now, the Rays were up 1-0 when Snell was pulled for that from that game, and the Dodgers ended up capitalizing not long after he was pulled. He had 9 Ks through 6 innings, or rather 5 1/3 up to that point. Eric, do you think the game could have gone different if Snell did stay in the game maybe an inning or 2 longer?
Oh, for sure. I mean, again, obviously Mookie Betts gets that hit in on base off of Nick Anderson right after, but at that point, you need two hits to cash that run of Austin Barnes, who did come on base there after Snell did allow that single. So I think you have to give Snell the opportunity to pitch out of trouble, because unless he gives up a homer, really, I mean, he still has quite a few chances to get the last few outs of that inning. So to me, again, I think he obviously had the opportunity and the skills this game alone to get out of that game. He'd only given up 2 hits up until that point. So again, just a guy who was on top of his game, a former Cy Young winner, and it's shocking that you don't ride the hot hand, especially in an elimination game for the Rays.
Now, rather than talking about what could have happened, let's talk about what actually happened. Corey Seager was named the World Series MVP after winning the National League Series MVP. I mean, Eric, was there really anybody else in this race, or was it sort of a one-pony race?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it was kind of that one-horse race, as you mentioned. It's not like the Conn Smythe Trophy race where we saw quite a few Lightning players could have got it. I think they made the right decision, although I do think there was maybe a few kind of worthy candidates there on the Dodgers side. Obviously, Max Muncy is a walk machine, especially in this day and age. He had a home run and 6 RBIs throughout the series. Another guy, I think, too, actually, who pitched last night for the Dodgers, Julio Urias. That was kind of a tale of 2 managers, because Dave Roberts went with him for the last 2 and a bit innings there. And again, data would tell you to take him out for the 9th and put in your closer, but he stuck with the hot hand, got the win. He pitched well in his few outings in this series. And Mookie Betts, I mean, he may not have had the great, typical stats when you look at, say, home runs, RBIs, and batting average, a little bit lower than a guy like Corey Seager, but he really did it all different ways, and that was from hitting, running the base pass. He had 4 stolen bases, and also defensively he was outstanding. So there were some very good performances from the Dodgers, but definitely Corey Seager for sure, hitting .400 had to be him.
Now, Eric, a big storyline coming out of the game is Justin Turner testing positive, or rather getting his results back that he was tested positive midway through that game and being pulled. Now, when I look at this, it almost seems sort of like the Tampa Bay Lightning winning with Steven Stamkos having to sit on the sideline. Do you think that was a similar feeling for Justin Turner?
Not really. I mean, Turner was able to play throughout the entire postseason. He only missed the last 2 innings or so just defensively. So to me, I think he gave it all he could, especially again getting taken out. I think the one thing you can say, it's maybe a blessing in disguise for MLB that the series was ended in 6, because now I would assume that all those Dodgers players have to go into a COVID protocol, and this was one thing that obviously you didn't want to happen, was have a positive case during the playoffs. So it's probably a good thing that the series did end after Game 6, because who knows what could have happened with that lineup possibly being decimated. We'll see in the coming days if this does spread throughout the clubhouse. Now,
he is the 3rd longest active player for the Dodgers, currently behind Kenley Jansen and Clayton Kershaw. Now, Kershaw, it was sort of almost like a curse during playoffs. For a while there, he was not nearly the same pitcher he was. Do you think it's huge for him just getting that monkey off his back and finally getting the ring he deserves?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think people are still going to talk about his past performances, because even in this playoffs alone, he was pretty up and down, but nobody can deny he's a World Series champion. And I think most people are going to be very happy for him, because he's definitely deserving. A guy who was pretty much the premier pitcher, I would say, in the NL for a solid 6-7 years there, and is still very good even as he advances in age. So very deserving winner, and nice to see him finally get one to top his career off, but I'm sure he's hoping for a few more before it's all said and done.
eBay, it's always a pleasure getting to chat with you. Congratulations to the LA Dodgers and Dodgers fans out there.
Hundreds of former players, both hockey and football, are mourning the loss of Joey Moss. He was a huge part of their time in Edmonton with the Oilers and the EE football team. Quinn Phillips has more on Joey's impact inside the locker rooms.
I've always said he's probably the most famous person in Edmonton that didn't even know it.
It's easy to see the impact Joey Moss had on athletes as Edmonton players past and present take to social media to pour their hearts out about an icon. Connor McDavid in a photo with Joey and Wayne Gretzky saying, "With the greatest of all time," and number 99. And the wife of the man that started it all, Janet Gretzky, posting, "Most of all, Joey, you were a joy everywhere you stood."
If you've ever met Joey, you know that you've met, as a lot of us call him, the most interesting man in the world.
These men, Lyle Sparky Kolcheski and Barry Stafford, were two who worked closest with Joey in the Oilers dressing room. Sparky became a dear friend. He saw Joey at the hospital Sunday.
I told him before he left us, I said, Joey, thanks for making me a better person. And because he really did. And I really feel that he made everyone in the room a better person.
Everyone speaks of Joey's contagious spirit, his passion.
He was just a ball of joy and happiness, and he passed that on all the time.
He was a massive part of the Oilers team, keeping the room light, even during tough times.
In the mid-90s, when things weren't going great, he got into this thing where he had to walk the plank. And so what meant with that is that he would go down to his underwear and he'd jump into the cold ice tub for us so we could try and get a win.
One of the notorious things Joey would do for the players would be he'd start vacuuming at a certain time after the game, whether the media were doing interviews or not, with their television cameras. In other words, suggesting it's time for everybody to leave.
He'd put so much energy into bringing smiles, but never to be forgotten, his work ethic.
A family of 13 kids, you knew that you worked there. Everyone was part of that family. And I think that where a lot of his work ethic also came from his family.
Quinn Phillips, Global Sports.
Now our Connor Chan will take a look at your weather forecast.
Thanks a lot, Jasmine. Looking at temperatures right now, still sitting at 1 degree for us here in Lloydminster as well as in Cold Lake. We see a lot of warmer temperatures out west in Edmonton at 8 degrees right now. 6 we see in Red Deer and Rocky Mountain House, and then 5s across here in Edson, Whitecourt, Athabasca, and Jasper as well. -1 up in Meadow Lake right now, -1 in Saskatoon with 0 degrees in North Battleford, and then -2 in Prince Albert and Melfort as well. As we look up north, we see a little bit colder temperatures as we see in Stony Rapids and Wollaston Lake sitting at -8 and -9, -7 in South End there with -5 right now for Flin Flon, and then -2 up in La Loche and Buffalo Narrows as well with -3 in La Ronge and -7 up in Uranium City. We see a little the opposite in northern Alberta. We see some warmer temperatures like in Grand Prairie sitting at 9 and 7 in Slave Lake and Peace River. But as you get up kind of higher north there, Fort Chipewyan sitting at -5 and high level right now at -3. And then Fort McMurray right now currently sitting even at 0 degrees. Looking at southern Alberta, 8 degrees in Lethbridge right now with 6 in both Medicine Hat and Coronation. We see 4 in Calgary, 3 degrees in Banff, kind of similar to what we're seeing around our area here in the Midwest region. 6 degrees in Kindersley right now with 4 degrees in Swift Current, 5 out in Moose Jaw right now with 1 degree in Regina, -3 in Yorkton, which is a little bit cooler out there, and then 3 degrees right now in Estevan. Now here's a look at what we see across the rest of the country. Fairly cooler in Winnipeg and Quebec City, sitting in the minuses right now, and with some cloud coverage. Clear skies, some nice temperatures there in Toronto, sitting at 9 with some clear skies and sun. 1 degree out in St. John, and then we see 2 degrees in Halifax right now. 8 degrees, I mentioned Edmonton, mostly sun and a few clouds there. Vancouver was sitting with a little bit more cloud coverage at 13 degrees right now. Yellowknife up north at -5, and then -3 currently right now for Whitehorse. Now here's what we could see for tomorrow. We could see possibly a 30% chance of some flurries overnight tonight, as well as even some showers for throughout the day at some parts tomorrow as well. Of course, we did see some slick ice conditions on the roads and on sidewalks throughout the city here this morning. But 3 degrees, our daytime high expected there. We see 4s out in Vegreville, Edmonton, Vermilion, and Wainwright as well. 4 degrees in Bonnyville, Cold Lake, and Pierceland. 5 down in Provost tomorrow. 6 for Macklin and then we see 4 also in North Battleford, 3s in Meadow Lake, St. Walburg, and Green Lake as well, with 1 degree out in Isle Lacrosse. Now here's a look at the next 7 days. I did mention a chance of some showers coming in for tomorrow, as well as even possibly on Friday. That number of 45% could be a little bit higher throughout the day. We could see maybe up to 60% chance of some showers. 1 degree on Saturday. Then we get into Sunday, we'll see fairly warmer temperatures on Sunday there. Then 11 degrees on Monday with clear skies expected there, and a nice 1 degree to start the day off there. And then cloud coverage on Tuesday with a high of 7 degrees nonetheless, and 5 degrees on Wednesday for the daytime high, and a low of -3. Of course, Saturday, of course, being Halloween, so it'll be fairly nice for all those kids that are going out trick-or-treating. But that is a look at your 7-day forecast for now. We'll have more primetime local news coming up after the break.
I'm joined today with Constable Melanie Flynn from the Lloydminster RCMP. Thanks for taking some time to talk with me today.
Yeah, thanks, Jace, for having me.
So the main reason I wanted to talk to you today is that the Lloydminster RCMP detachment is engaging with residents of the community, and they're doing the Let's Talk Policing campaign. So first of all, can you just tell me a little bit about this campaign?
So the Let's Talk Policing campaign kind of goes hand in hand with the virtual town hall meetings that the RCMP would normally be a part of. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, large groups and meetings like that can't happen. So the RCMP have put on a series of, it's a series of videos that is available online to take a look at. It stems from a presentation just regarding what the Lloydminster RCMP's participation would be in a virtual town hall.
And obviously this is all virtual, and are people able to submit kind of questions or comments to the RCMP?
Yes, we really encourage that people log on, so they can log on to the City of Lloydminster's community engagement site. So it's yourvoicellloyd.ca/RCMP. You log on there, you'll be able to view that presentation I was speaking about, and then you can add your comments, concerns, any feedback that you'd like the RCMP to talk about, or just feedback that you'd like to, comment to the RCMP. And then we're going to monitor it anywhere from now until November 13th. So we're going to be responding to those comments and questions, and we highly encourage people to get on there and give us some feedback.
So the program and the presentation kind of goes from community issues to the strategy to staffing and collaboration. And you mentioned that it's going to be running from the 22nd of October through to November 13th. Do you think that maybe more people are going to be able to kind of contribute and hear from the RCMP compared to if you guys were doing an in-person town hall that would be like a one-day kind of thing?
Yeah, we hope we reach like a larger group of Lloydminster citizens this way. People can respond from the comforts of their home and at the time slot that they choose to, because it's there. It'll be there for like until the 13th of November. So get on there and put on some feedback and some comments, and we're hopefully get on, and we're going to monitor this so we can respond within that time frame as well. And it just goes over like the detachment structure and the annual operations that we've done, and then it goes into our next year's strategic planning will be kind of based on some of the comments and concerns that we hear from the citizens. That's stuff that the Lloydminster RCMP will take into consideration when we're developing those strategic priorities for next year.
And why do you think it's so important for the RCMP to be able to engage with the public and explain kind of how the RCMP is keeping people safe, and also hear from members of the community?
Well, our policing structure is based on community policing. So we want to be involved and engaged with the community and know what the community's concerns and, where they want to see our efforts being put forward to. So it does outline what we've done in 2020 and some of the crime reduction strategies we've goals we've attained through 2020. So that's outlined there. So if people are not quite sure what type of feedback or questions they have, they can look at those presentations and gauge an idea of what has been done, and then moving forward, what they would like to see from the RCMP. So it's just the root of community policing.
And is there anything else you want to add?
No, I just highly encourage people to get on there, I guess, and give us their feedback.
All right, thanks so much, Constable Melanie Flynn, for taking some time to talk with me today.
Thanks, Jace.
Well, joining us today here on Primetime Local News is Trista Teslin, a health educator and registered dietitian with the Alberta Healthy Living Program. So Trista, first off, I know there's a bunch of programs that AHS is putting out there to the public. So what exactly are some of these programs that you're going to be offering?
Yeah, so the Alberta Healthy Living Program services those with chronic conditions in communities throughout Alberta. And the Alberta Healthy Living Program is an integrated community-based chronic disease management program. And the online workshops are part of the regularly offered Alberta Healthy Living Program classes, which have been offered in about 28 communities across Central Zone before the pandemic. And before the pandemic, these workshops were offered in person. Now the classes are offered by Zoom, and they're open to all communities across the zone. If people are interested in more information, they can visit our website at www.ahs.ca/AHLP. If you scroll down to the Central Zone tab, there will be some more information there, and also a link to our current class schedule guide.
Let's touch a little bit more on some of the classes that you are offering. Just to highlight a few, one, you're talking about nutrition labels as well as diabetes management. Lots of us may have some misconceptions when it comes to those subject matters. So why is it important to educate the people in that regard?
So our nutrition labels, the Reading Between the Lines workshop, it is offered by AHS registered dietitians, and we share our expertise and guide the interactive discussion. And we hope that by coming to this workshop that participants will understand nutrition labels better, and that they'll learn how to read the nutrition facts table and understand health claims on food labels so they can make healthier food choices. And also it'll help build skills to help them make the healthiest choices at the grocery store. In terms of the Diabetes the Basics workshop, that is a 4-part workshop, and it is for people that have been diagnosed with prediabetes or type 2 diabetes, or their support people, or just people wanting to learn more. So in that workshop, participants will learn about what is diabetes, the foods that affect blood sugars. They'll learn about blood sugar monitoring, controlling their blood sugars, and of course, much more. And facilitators like myself, we share knowledge and provide information and discussions that can help participants manage their day-to-day life with their condition.
Now, with these online sessions, were they always like a yearly thing and always available to the public, or has this been just more of a bigger push for these courses now because of the COVID-19 pandemic?
Yeah, so prior to the pandemic, we were offering our regular classes and workshops in about 28 communities across Central Zone. And now we're offering the workshops online to follow the public health guidelines on physical distancing during the COVID-19 pandemic. And even though we're in a pandemic, we, still have these chronic conditions. And we know by getting the health information, people are better able to manage their condition.
Is there anything else that Albertans should be aware of? Like, are there any more workshops that they can take if they want to? What are some other things that AHS is offering?
Yeah, so we have a Better Choices, Better Health workshop, and that is a series of 6 workshops, and it's designed to support Albertans living with ongoing health conditions, help them take control of their health, and improve their quality of life. Health conditions that participants have in these classes could include, they're not limited to these, but conditions like diabetes, heart disease, arthritis, high blood pressure, obesity, chronic pain, fibromyalgia, Crohn's disease, colitis, celiac disease, and mental health concerns. The program teaches management techniques common to all chronic conditions rather than just one specific disease or condition. And some of the topics included in this workshop is overcoming the physical and emotional challenges of living with these chronic conditions, managing pain, fatigue, and stress, and a lot more. And the approach ensures an understanding of the challenges participants face and provide a supportive and welcoming environment. And with all of our workshops, we do encourage family members and caregivers to attend as well.
I know you touched on it a little earlier, but just reiterate how people can sign up and register for these workshops.
So our workshops are free to adults 18 years and over and their support people. And all we ask that people call and register through the Alberta Healthy Living Program. They can call 1-877-314-6997. At that time, they will receive a Zoom link since all of our classes are online now. And we do encourage people to register and not just share Zoom links, because sometimes our dates and times can change, just so we can keep people updated if there are any changes.
Well, Trista, I really appreciate your time, and thank you so much for giving us some insight on how people can get into these workshops and hopefully better their health. So thank you very much.
All right, taking one last look here at your weather forecast. We could see some showers tomorrow as well as on Friday. Starting overnight tonight, we could see some snow as well, a 30% chance of some flurries going into possibly some showers as well tomorrow night as well. And then we could see a 45 to 60% chance of showers for Friday, but 1 degree on Saturday, 7 on Sunday as we warm up a little bit more, and then more so on Monday with that high of 11 degrees with clear skies, and 7 degrees on Sunday with some cloud coverage, and then 5 degrees on Wednesday with some cloud coverage throughout the day. As we look at our averages, usually 5 degrees right now for our daytime high and at -6 for our daytime lows.
Thanks for joining us on Primetime Local News. Have a great night.